What do you think we have to do to move forward?
Well, number one thing is you can't comply your way out of tyranny.
You've learned that.
I have learned this. My parents have been through communism for 45 years. They've endured communism for 45 years. They tried to comply with it, and it only got worse and worse and worse. It never got better. You can't comply your way out of tyranny, and this is what the message that I would like to send out there. If people don't remember anything from this interview, it's just this: you simply cannot comply your way out of tyranny. You are either brave, you stand up now while we still have some freedoms left, while we can go out on the street and not get shot and killed. You either stand up now or you're going to be a slave for the rest of your life. Or until when people pick up their courage and fight back like we did during the revolution. But then, if they don't stand up now, if they decide to stand up later, it's going to come at the cost of their lives. Mark my words. Mark my words. If we don't do it now, it will cost the lives of many people.
In part two, this is just a little addition to it, to how they finally won. So they were getting shot in the streets. Mm-hmm. How did getting shot in the streets turn to victory?
Well, you won't believe this, but it wasn't. So I want to explain the difference between a protest and a revolution, because we often call our protests revolution. They are not a revolution, they are protests. Not that I have anything against calling them a revolution, but I just want to make that distinction, because in a revolution, they were there to win. And they said, we are not going home until this government comes down. Kill us, do whatever you want with us, we are not going home. In a protest, you go there, march around nicely and come home to your house. So there's a big difference between a protest and a revolution. So I just want to explain that. So people kept turning up. They went into the media stations and they chased the people out. And we were watching TV, and all of a sudden it's this line, zzz, like there's nothing happening. And we were like, wow, this has never happened on TV. And then a few seconds later, it was the people from the People's Revolution, and they were like, we've taken over the media. It's ours now. From now on, you're going to hear the truth. No more indoctrination. They would go into the police stations and or schools, all the government offices, and bring out all their crap and all their communist indoctrination books and whatever they had, and they would they made a big bonfire in the middle of the town and just burnt everything to the ground and chased them all out. And basically, but really, the way we won in the end is this: because the police and the army were ordered to shoot into the people. And they did it for a while, for a few days. But at some point, their humanity kicked in. At some point, they realized that they are human beings and they cannot do this to their fellow person. They cannot do this to their... In the streets, they said, it could be my mom, it could be my dad, it could be my brother or my friend, and I'm shooting into them because I'm ordered to do this by the corrupt dictatorship and the corrupt government. This is when people tell me governments are good. I'm like, you don't understand what governments have the capacity to do to people. You don't understand. The communists have killed 100 million people worldwide. In 100 years of communism, they have killed 100 million people. Do you know that more people were killed by governments worldwide than by anything else. Look at all the people the Nazis killed. 20 million. The communists, 100 million. It's the government that's the real threat. I'm not saying there isn't good governments. I'm not saying there aren't good politicians and good people. But when the government goes rogue, when the government turns into a dictatorship, then we have the duty to stand up and defend ourselves and defend our freedoms and defend our families and defend our future and the future of our nation and the future of our kids.
Sorry, start again.
Well, I just want to say that communism doesn't happen overnight. This is all planned, carefully planned, and it takes years and years of indoctrination to get to even where we are today. And communism, it's not going to happen. Freedom is not going to happen overnight. So it will take time, and people need to realize this. And the picture that comes to mind for me is, maybe if you've ever been to Sunday school, is of Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. They had to go round and round the walls a few times before the walls came tumbling down. Because, and this is what's going to happen, the wall of injustice, it doesn't come down overnight. It took them years and years to build and fortify their walls and their system. And it's slowly crumbling, and we can already see gaps into those walls, where the freedom warriors have, punched through those big, strong walls. And we've already made some cracks and some gaps. But it will take time. But we're going to keep circling this wall of injustice until it comes down. And it's going to come down, because I'm not letting it happen. Not here, not now, not on my watch.